Hey guys, MoiDawg here, and today we finally have it, Squad V9.0 and Unreal Engine 5. I don't think there's been an update to the game in almost an entire calendar year, but I gotta say, this one was worth it. New weapons, new equipment, new factions, new gameplay layers, a new game mode, an overhauled ranking system, gunplay changes. There is so much more to this update than just UE5. So today, we're going to be going over all of the important patch notes. The patch notes themselves were over 20 pages long, and so in this video, I'm not going to waste your time with every single sentence in this thing. I've linked that down in the description below if you do want to do some light reading, but instead, I want to tell you what you need to know in order to hit the ground running and have fun in Squad 9.0. So with that out of the way, let's just get straight into it with the biggest change to the game, and that's obviously the upgrade to Unreal Engine 5.5. As a whole, the game looks absolutely beautiful now, but I'm not going to sit here and say that UE5 doesn't have its problems. During all these playtests, many people were questioning if they would even be able to run Squad on their PC now. So for the past few days, I've actually been reaching out to you guys in the community on Discord, Reddit, and Twitter, having y'all post your settings and your FPS problems. From what you guys have been telling me, I've been offering recommendations to help fix your game, and it's been more or less pretty successful. I will have a complete graphic settings video out soon, which will be way more in depth than this one here, but I wanted to at least give you guys a few tips and quick suggestions to make sure you can play Squad right away. First off, the new minimum and recommended specs were released by Offworld Industries, so double check that your system can still run this. Most should be fine, but I do want to make a quick note on the graphics card here. If you do have a GPU that has less than 4 gigabytes of VRAM, you have to check uncapped texture pool size in your settings, or you will have textures that, as one person said to me, look like oatmeal. If you have Roblox textures, the game feels like it's made out of Play-Doh, anything like that going on, click uncapped texture pool size and you'll be good to go. If you have anything else, do not click this. You will absolutely fry your card, and it's only intended for those with super old graphics cards. With that being said, it's important to note that if you were a high settings user on UE4 in Squad, you may be a medium settings user on UE5 Squad. The game will still look far better than before because it is an upgraded engine, so if you are struggling for some frames, just go down a level and don't get too hung up on the naming conventions. Now, here are the 5 biggest causes for FPS problems I've seen so far. Number 1, I know this may sound stupid, but honestly, I've seen people go from sub 70 FPS to over 130 just by clearing your cache. Save your settings, take a screenshot of them, or write them down. Same with your keybinds. Clear your cache, then restart your game and play for a bit. It won't work for everyone, but start here and you may have actually solved your FPS problems. Number 2, do not use frame generation. FrameGen is a huge FPS sink and can cause up to 20 or 30 FPS drops at times. The benefits of FrameGen for most people will not make up for the FPS drops, so I would recommend to just turn this off completely. Number 3, if you have an RTX 2000 series card or higher, select DLSS for anti-aliasing and start with the balanced option. Not only will this make your game look better, but it's incredibly performant and can improve your FPS dramatically. If you aren't too concerned about FPS, I personally use the quality preset so it makes it easier to see things at a distance. Now, if you have an AMD card, you can select to use AMD FSR, but I'm getting mixed messages on this. It works for some people, it really sucks for others, but one potential solution for you guys is to open up the AMD Adrenalin software and turn on FSR there, and then it will actually work for you in game. If you have an older AMD, start with the Ultra Performance 3 times and work your way down the presets. Now, if FSR in general is just tanking your FPS, just select a cheaper AA option. I'm going to have a lot more info on this in my full settings guide. I just don't really have the data on it yet. Number 4, do not use wake simulation. I've seen some people think they can handle it because they have a beefy card, but this is really high-end cinematic stuff, and I would say that maybe 99.9% of users cannot run this properly. Do not select it. Thank me later. And number 5, if you're having issues with hitching or drop frames when you ADS with picture-in-picture optics, make sure your scope resolution scale is set to 100 and your scope update rate is set to 120. Once again, I'll have a detailed video on graphics settings over the next week or so. I just need to sit down and discuss some things with the devs and get some more data, so keep an eye out for that. But I will say these tips have solved the majority of players' problems I've seen, so really, try them out for yourself. Just stop saying UE5 bad. It is actually surprisingly optimized if you have the right settings. The problem is you have to figure out which setting works for your unique build. All right, the second biggest update to the game is a complete overhaul of Basrah. The update itself is actually called Return to Basrah, and even if you have played this map during the playtest, oh my god, it is so good now. The bones of the map have always been great. It's been a squad staple for years, but UE5 really just makes it incredible. Objectives like VCP are still chaotic and fun for both attackers and defenders, but the addition of sand dunes and other microterrain really makes it so much better to fight over. And places like the refinery, it actually looks like a refinery now. It's absolutely amazing, and the devs did such a great job with this map. Expect a lot of your favorite servers to be running this multiple times a day for the rest of the year. But as you are playing, you may actually notice that we have lost a map in this update. Belaya has been removed to technical issues from the UE5 upgrade. So what exactly could have caused that? Well, the patch notes state that all maps have undergone a lighting overhaul. They're now using a new global illumination system that ensures greater consistency across all levels. This lighting system lays the foundation for expanded lighting and weather features in the future, enabling us to create even more believable and immersive worlds. We've also made extensive updates to our existing maps to ensure compatibility with UE5 and improve performance. These changes include asset and material adjustments, as well as reworking foliage on several maps. Performance has been a major focus for us. Unfortunately, some of our older maps don't fully align with these practices, as they were originally optimized for what worked best in the previous version of UE4. To follow up on that, lighting is very different now in Squad, and although I do like the new skybox and how it feels like you're actually fighting at certain times of the day, it does take some getting used to. Part of this lighting update implements eye adaptation, where the game will actually try and simulate how your eyes would adapt to different brightness levels. You really notice this when walking in and out of buildings, or trying to look out of a window, or even just transitioning from ADS to hipfire and back and forth. I will admit, it is a bit distracting at first, but after a couple days, I'm not really noticing it too much now. The next new feature implemented is the Commendations system. This was added as a way to recognize and reward positive teamwork at the end of each round. After a couple days playing, I can honestly say that I think it's working as intended. Players are trying to play their roles, and they're working together a little bit more. You earn these commendations by just playing the game, and your first commendation is earned after 10 minutes in a round, and the second is earned after 25 minutes in the round, with a max of 2 commendations earned per game. Now, you cannot commend anyone during the round, and instead you have to wait until the end score screen to right-click and then select either leadership, teacher, teamwork, or their specific role to commend the person. When you do get commended, you start to progress through the ranks, which you can now see in your new career tab. The first few ranks seem to go by pretty quickly, but the devs are suggesting that it could take you up to 2 years to get all of them. For those of y'all who are looking to grind, well, there you go. If you do want to show off your ranks, you can equip it by clicking here, and it will show up next to your in-game name. And if you have progressed through the leadership ranks, players will actually be recommended to join your squad in the deploy menu, which is awesome. But what is even cooler is this final line here. Additional roles have been added to several factions to ensure that certain role types that players can earn commendations for are available across a wider variety of factions. The biggest change is that conventional factions now have raider roles. Well, okay, technically the Canadian and British ones are called Pathfinders, but I love that the devs are allowing players to play their favorite playstyle across multiple factions. If you like CQB grenade heavy combat, then you don't have to just wait for Militia or Insurgents to do it. That's a huge win for the players. Now, speaking of Militia, they have been completely overhauled with V9.0, but have been rebranded as Russian proxy militia. Think something that would have been in Donbass like 6 or 7 years ago. This means that a lot of the M16s and M4s have been removed and replaced with AKMs, AK-74s, and even the AK-12 and AK-101. But they also gave Militia a new sniper kit with the SV98, as well as a brand new marksman role with the VSS. The VSS is absolutely cool, it just looks awesome, but I will warn you guys, it's a bit difficult to use at the start since it does have a huge amount of bullet drop with their subsonic rounds. It's very good for stealthy flanking gameplay, but you will miss shots at first that should be no-brainers until you get used to it. One incredibly cool piece of new equipment is also the T-72A, which is a modification of the T-72S export variant. The T62 for Militia isn't going anywhere, but they have added in the T72A, and it's going to be in a lot of their units now, so get used to it. It is weaker than the T72S or T72B3 in terms of armor, with only 500mm frontal turret armor and 180mm frontal hull armor, but it still has the firepower of a T72, which is a huge upgrade for Militia armor players. Militia also has a brand new scout kit with a Mosin sniper and a recon drone. Yes, drones have officially entered the squad universe, and this one is going to be a game changer for intel. Scout players can deploy this drone for up to 4 minutes, and it costs 250 ammo to rearm, but you can pick it back up and the battery will replenish. Now, I think this is a bit overpowered at the moment, since you can just scout, come back, pick it up, drop it back down, and have almost 100% uptime on the drone, so I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a rally timer type cooldown in the future, but it does at least encourage players to try and keep this thing alive. You cannot attach explosives to it, however, so IEDs or C4 won't work. It's just purely recon, and the kits themselves are limited to 2 per team. The Russian ground forces and VDV have also been given these scout kits, as well as the brand new Canadian resistance forces. Now, I'm going to have a complete faction overview video on these guys soon, but here's a quick breakdown so you know what you're getting yourself into. Think of the Canadian resistance forces not like a WPMC faction, but instead like a Western insurgent faction. They have a mix of civilian equipment like AR-15s or this fully automatic Glock with an extended magazine, as well as military surplus weapons like the Lee Enfield or M1 carbine. It is absolutely awesome to see these older World War II weapons from Squad 44 in UE5 and Squad, but just remember that they are older weapons. They're fun to shoot, they look cool, but you're going to have to take advantage of the mobility of this faction. They also get the Bangrite IED, which is an IED that is only detonated if you shoot it. These things are awesome, and during the playtest, I would place them next to mines, so a vehicle would hit the mine, take damage from the mine, but the explosion would also detonate the Bangrite. You can get into some major shenanigans with this bang bag, so enjoy. Squad leaders can have up to 3 rallies in their inventory, they only take 30 ammo to rearm, and there's plenty of light transport vehicles, but the biggest piece of armor you're going to get is the Coyote Recon Vic. It's a very fun and dynamic faction, but you're really going to have to embrace the lack of full auto and heavy armor and just roll with it. Just like the insurgents are only available in Middle Eastern maps, this faction is only available in North American maps, so the Canadian maps, Goose Bay and Manicouagan. The last faction change is a conversion of MEA to Iran. Yep, MEA is gone forever, and we now have a new set of uniforms and flags representing the ground forces of Iran. They have a lot more AK-type weapons, and I will warn you that there is a significant lack of optics. 2 of the 3 GLs are iron sights, both LATs have iron sights, and both medics have iron sights. It definitely will take some getting used to for infantry, but they do have some new vehicles like the TOW Humvee and the UH-1H helicopter instead of the Mi-17. Now here's some other changes you need to be aware of when actually playing the game. The ICO has been fine-tuned. Now, this isn't a complete rework. The infantry combat in the game has already been overhauled. They're not ICO in the ICO, but the devs have refined the weapon sway, weapon handling, the recoil, and the suppression aim punch. The devs state they had 3 goals: to make recoil feel more natural, less random, and less intense without detracting from our intent to have extended firefights within gameplay, to make engagements below 150 meters feel less frustrating, and to mitigate the problem of losing the front sight post from the front of the weapon moving down during recoil. Overall, I think this has been largely successful. You will still get absolutely wrecked if you are running around with no stamina, but firefights above half stamina have been so much better. Noodle arms are pretty much gone, and it feels much easier to shoulder things like AT weapons to quickly acquire vehicles and shoot. If you didn't like the ICO and it kept you from playing in the past, these changes should make it far more enjoyable. I highly recommend reinstalling and jumping back in. Now, if you're more of a vehicle player, the UE5 Vehicle Upgrade has been a game changer for driving. Vehicles feel heavier and handle more like what they would do in the real world, and a great example of this is the Bradley. The Bradley in real life tops out at 65 kilometers per hour, while the Abrams is actually a bit faster at 70. Now, the heavier vehicles may take a bit longer to reach that max speed, but these changes will drastically change vehicle movement and engagements. Additionally, wheeled vehicles will now move slower than tracked vehicles off-road, giving the tracked ones a slight edge depending on the terrain. Now, the last huge addition to the game is a completely overhauled Skirmish game mode. In the past, Skirmish was simply a smaller AAS, but now it's been reworked to play more like Conquest from Battlefield. These are infantry-only games that give each team a transport and an armored vehicle on a delayed spawn timer, and squads will only be able to respawn at the main base or off of rallies. There's no logistics, no habs, no commander, it is all infantry. At the start, teams will capture their first objective and then choose to attack any of the 5 points on the map. There's no order needed, just simply attack, hold, rotate, do whatever you want to do, just like a game of Conquest. It's incredibly refreshing not having a linear game mode in Squad, and the added bonus of focus infantry combat has been awesome. I'm running a 24/7 skirmish server called the Potato Fields 4 Infantry Dominance, and if you do want to play Squad without the 30 minutes of walking, building, running logistics, all that type of stuff that slows the game down, and instead you just want to play more tactical infantry gameplay, then come join us. Games are usually lasting around 20 or 30 minutes, and it's been a real blast. Honestly, super refreshing, and I really think this will be a breakout game mode over the next few months. Now, that's all the big stuff you need to know about Squad V9.0, but there are a few other little things that you should know in order to help you in game. If you press shift while in a vehicle or standing still, you'll now get a focused zoom view. This is a bit like Arma Zoom, but it's only available if you're not moving as infantry or if you're going under 5 kilometers an hour in a vehicle and not touching any of the throttle. It's really nice for kits who don't have binos or if you don't want to keep your primary out, and it's a godsend for drivers if you're just sitting in a parked tank waiting for something to happen. Now you can actually zoom in and acquire targets. There's also a new shot dispersion mechanic for vehicles and weapon turrets, but I haven't really seen this work on anything other than the open-top MGs or MG emplacements. Maybe this isn't properly being implemented in vehicles with autocannons yet, or maybe they have no intention for it to be implemented in the vehicles, but either way, keep an eye on this when you're shooting in full auto in the future, since your favorite vehicle may have a bit of accuracy loss during extended firefights. Tickets have also been adjusted for RAS and AAS. Capturing an enemy objective is now going to give you 50 tickets, down from 60, but neutral flag caps will remain the same at providing 20 tickets. There's also been a complete pass on audio in-game. Almost every weapon sounds just a little bit different, and things like the new BMP autocannon are just so freaking cool. Yeah, it's awesome, but just be aware that what you're used to hearing has completely changed, so it may take you a few games to get used to it again. Additionally, do note for you helicopter pilots out there that your initial spawn delay at the start of games has increased from 6 minutes to 10 minutes, and for you vehicle players, a lot of the vehicle timers and layouts have also changed as well. There are fewer IFVs on combined arms groups, and armor battle groups now have 10-minute tank delays instead of them being instantly available. Oh, and if you do like playing as a Chinese heavy anti-tank kit, well, you're now playing as the Chinese intended according to their combat doctrine. You only have a pistol for your weapon and have 2 tandem rounds and 2 heat rounds. If you're playing this and you're now complaining you keep dying to infantry, well, I don't know, maybe try sticking with your squad and you'll have a great time obliterating vehicles. The update also introduces a new Insurgent and American weapon skin pack if you do want to purchase it, and they have made some older skins available on more weapons. And lastly, I just have to take a moment to thank the devs for the memorial section in Jensen's range. This was added a while ago, but unfortunately, a longtime member of our community, Fritz, passed away earlier this year, and he's now going to be forever with us in-game. He was one of those guys I'd always see in the server or chatting with us on stream, and it's still weird just not having him around every day. Thanks again to the devs for including this and updating this memorial, and I'm just glad we have a space to remember those who have unfortunately left us way too soon. But I don't want to end on a somber note. V9 is incredible, and the stuff that's been added has been well worth the wait. If you want to see if your most annoying bugs have fixed or read each line item by yourself, there's a massive amount of text on their official patch notes, so feel free to check them out for yourself down in the description below. So what do you guys think? Are you excited to play Squad again? Do you like all the new stuff? You checking out the new factions and weapons? Or are you still having FPS problems? Or maybe you're not having FPS problems at all and you're just genuinely shocked. Let me know down in the comments below, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. But that's it for me. Until next time, peace.